Tushangilie Kenya, taifa letu tukufu, Kenya tunayoipenda, Kenya nchi tunayoipenda.
Twajivunia sana tukijiita wa Kenya, nchi yenye baraka, Kenya nchi yenye baraka. Tumekomboa
distinguished guests, students, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I believe each one of you has been excited by the experience of today. It's actually a wonderful experience, given that we haven't had an reenaction of independence in these grounds for all those years. So I think it's a first for Uhuru Garden, and we really appreciate all those who made this happen. I would like us now to go to the next phase of the program, and we'll be having the launch of Bridging Ages Kenya. And without spending a lot of time, I would like to call upon Mildred to give us just some brief history of Bridging Ages. Mildred, please, shall we put our hands together and welcome Mildred?
Good afternoon. I'm glad to stand here before you to represent Bridging Ages Kenya and to give a brief history of the journey from inception to where we are today. For me, Bridging Ages started in 2013 in a boardroom at Maseno University. I was invited by one of my colleagues from the School of Maths, David Stan. He told me we had guests that he would have wanted me to meet. They had come to talk about mathematics in the historic environment. And so I went to the meeting. We had presentations and then we had a talk. And in the talk we were trying to find out, how can you teach mathematics in the historic environment? That was the first time I ever heard of Bridging Ages International. Lena and Berit were in the team of visitors that had visited Maseno. They had just come from Strathmore University where they had a conference. So in Maseno we sat down and we said, what can we do? And we were joined, we agreed that we would do a time travel activity. At that time I had no idea what time travel was. To me it was like history, which I never liked in school. So I was wondering, how do these people hope that I can learn history in old age? But I humbled myself. I agreed to meet them at the railway station. That was on the following Friday. And I met a lady from National Museums of Kenya, Phoebe Awiti. She was leading the group from Kisumu. We had children from a school in Kisumu, Lake Primary School, that had come with their teachers. And we had a group of teachers from Kisumu municipality. And at the railway station then we had our first time travel event. At least I got to understand, and for us it was really historic because some of us were knowing for the first time how the railway was built and it moved from Mombasa right up to Kisumu. Imagine, and yet I had traveled by train all those years. I'd never thought about the event, how it happened. And that, after the first time travel, we gathered at Kisumu Museum And we talked about bridging ages. We talked about how can we come up as a group and come up with a formal organization. At that point, Ebe informed us that in Kenya there was Bridging Ages Northern Kenya that was already formed. Not many people from Kisumu made it then. Phoebe was one of the few, with a few lecturers from Maseno, among them Professor Florence Indede and a few others made it to Northern Kenya. And when they came back, the team from Sweden, we had coined a collaboration dealing with mathematics in the historic environment. And this collaboration took me and 3 other lecturers to Sweden. And the first day we arrived, and the following day there was a time travel activity in a school in Sweden. The school since then has a collaboration with one of the schools in Kisumu. So that was my second time travel activity. I started understanding that this thing can be used in school, but it can also be used in teaching history. So coming back, I was declared a champion in time travel, which I didn't understand then. But I was called to Linnaeus University to talk about the time travel method, which I was barely understanding. I did whatever I could. You know, when you're talking about something you don't really understand, you do just what is best. But from there, I decided to come back and find out what is the time travel. And when we came back, I called the teachers from Kisumu. We shared the experience. And we were having our second time travel, still at the railway station, but with a different school. So we prepared the children, we went together, we had the time travel. Again, after the time travel, we gathered for a seminar at Kisumu Museum. It is at this juncture that we decided as the team in Kisumu to come up with Bridging Ages Western Kenya. And what was our aim? Our aim was to bring like-minded teachers, lecturers, and museum personnel together to see how we can teach our history, how we can look at our historical events in such a way that they can be recorded and used. Our focus was actually the school, and our greatest focus was how history can be used in teaching of mathematics. And so at that meeting, we formed Bridging Ages Western Kenya. At the end of that year in September, I had a second chance because of the collaboration with Linnaeus University to travel back to Sweden. And when we traveled back this time, we took part again in a number of seminars and activities on Bridging Ages. I was now coming to learn. I met people from other countries that were also in Bridging Ages. It was at this time that the new president, Anina, had just taken over as the president of Bridging Ages International. And she challenged me. I was sharing with her. We have Bridging Ages Northern Kenya. We have Bridging Ages Western Kenya. How can the two groups work together? And she challenged me and she said, instead of having little groups, there was another team from Kenyatta University also working on mathematics in the historic environment under the Bridging Ages auspices. So she advised me, instead of having these small little teams all working as Bridging Ages all over, why don't you go back and form a national team of Bridging Ages? And that for the first time is where I started thinking and dreaming about Bridging Ages Kenya. So we came back and met with the teachers at the museum, and I shared with them the vision and the dream. And they told me it is good that we come together, call the people from the north, call the personnel from NMK, we call the lecturers from Kenyatta University, and we host them in Kisumu and think about Bridging Ages Kenya. That happened this year in February. And so we gathered around between 50 to 100 people. First, we had, this was our third time travel at Shauri Moyo Primary School. In Shauri Moyo, we were thinking about the opening of that school when President Moi came to open the school. That was the storyline of our time travel. At the end of the time travel, we also had several international guests from Toslanda School, from Linnaeus, and from Kalmar Museum, and then we had guests from Finland. So we all came together and we started debating on the best way forward for Bridging Ages Kenya. It was at that sitting, that was a Friday, we agreed we would meet on Saturday, which was the following day, at the museum, and continue to come up with a team that could then lead Bridging Ages Kenya. And in the meeting, we all sat together and we agreed, because we have representation from different organizations. Let's have those teams choose at least 2 leaders from every team to form an interim board of Bridging Ages Kenya. Our main mandate as a board, I was elected the interim president of that board at the museum, Kisumu Museum. Our main mandate was to formulate a constitution for Bridging Ages Kenya, to register an organization, Bridging Ages Kenya, and thirdly, to prepare a way for electing the Bridging Ages Kenya board. We were given 1 year to do that. I really thank God that it has not taken a year. We have a draft constitution of Bridging Ages Kenya. In this particular meeting today, we actually want to launch Bridging Ages Kenya. We want to unveil the logo of Bridging Ages Kenya, and we have an elected board of Bridging Ages Kenya. And that has been the journey of Bridging Ages Kenya from where it has been to this point where we now have an elected board that will carry this organization forward. What are the constituent members or institutions that form Bridging Ages Kenya? We have TICA, that is an organization that deals with culture, I think based in this place. We have National Museums of Kenya that has been really has been housing us in almost every place where we have Bridging Ages. We have Kenyatta University with a team of lecturers that have been working together with Bridging Ages Kenya. We have Maseno University, I think the only university that has youths that have fully embraced Bridging Ages aspirations in Kenya. We have Bridging Ages Western Kenya, composed of, the membership is composed of teachers, personnel from the university like myself, personnel from the museum, and we form Bridging Ages Western Kenya. So these 5 teams are the constituent organizations that make up Bridging Ages Kenya. I may not be able to say more beyond this. I think I've given you a brief history. What are we saying to you who are in attendance today? We invite you to join Bridging Ages Kenya. Why do we want you to join Bridging Ages Kenya? Our nation is divided Remember, we've just come from a time travel where people are so excited to be one nation. People are so excited. You could see even the inspirational voice of President Kenyatta urging us to be one nation. And I saw all of you. Your emotions rose to the occasion. Even the little children in school, I think, responded in equal measure. But when we come back to 2016, where we are today, I want you to think with me, where is Kenya today? And this is what, as Bridging Ages Kenya, we want our main mandate to be. Can we be an organization that will open up space so that people can express their fears, people can express their aspirations, people can come together and voice a vision they want for this nation? What are the things that divide us as a nation? But we want to concentrate on the things that can unite us as a nation. Like the flag we hosted today is a symbol of unity. The place where we are today, we see the three pillars: love, peace, and unity. So we want to look at the stories in Kenya. We want to look at the monuments. We want to look at the historic sites. We want to look at our institutions. Could we bring out issues that unite us and concentrate on them, that we may get people talking, and hopefully we can bring down the voices of dissent that create divisions unnecessarily, so that people concentrate more on what unites as opposed to what divides. And you can be a peace champion in Kenya today. That is why we are inviting you. Remember the word Bridging Ages. We need the youngest child we have in this group, and we need the oldest man. I saw there was a mzee here who was telling stories. I don't know where he is. There's this mzee, and there's one older than you. There was Dennis. Where is he? Yes, we need that mzee, because he will tell us what was there that we have never had, so that we can learn to dream again as a nation. So we invite all of you. The membership is open. Please, you're free to join us. Thank you very much. May God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Madam Mildred. I think we need to give her a better clap. Now we will call upon our director, Antiquities, Sites and Monuments, Dr. Kiura, who will give us some remarks. And thereafter, we will request her to call upon the Deputy Chair, LCIC. Please join us as we welcome Madam Kiura.
Madam Wanyoika, the Deputy Chair of the National Coalition and Integration Commission, the organizers of Bridging Ages event, ladies and gentlemen, once again I want to say thank you for gracing this occasion and for finding time to be here with us to celebrate the inauguration of what we are calling Bridging Ages Kenya. Mr. Eva, I also recognize you. Thank you for bringing this event here to us. It's an event which, as National Museums of Kenya, we are proud and happy to host. We are also happy to be partners with those other institutions which have already been mentioned by Madam Mildred, the universities, institutions, that have interest in heritage and also interest in our nation. I know there are a few counties who are really happy to be part of this collaboration. There are also cultural institutions that are happy to be part of this partnership. And for us as the National Museums of Kenya, we are open and very happy to be the host today, in the future, and also in the past we've actually had events with most of the other partners. As Madam Mildred has pointed out, Bridging Ages actually looks at what is referred as local history. And in this case, we are talking about the local history of Kenya. And then trying to highlight that for the people to understand and manage their current affairs. So like what we've already witnessed today is looking at the independence, that history of the independence, and then trying to bring out some of the aspects that we want to understand and manage, and also pull together in today's society. The time event, or what they term as a time travel event, they use that time travel event to reflect on what we've gone through and where we want to go in the future. So for us, this is a very good event and also a very good content, because it also enhances our mandate as the National Museums of Kenya, being the institution that is mandated actually to be able to let our people understand our history, understand our heritage, and then also use that history and heritage for the contemporary issues that we have. As you are aware, there are so many issues today in the global world. You can talk about peace, you can talk about climate change, you can talk about economies, you can talk about people living together and people also pulling apart. And these are the issues that we actually want to bring together to the people, so that they can use maybe our heritage or our history to understand what was happening in the past, and then to also reflect on these issues and see how we can work on these issues. The most important issue for us as Kenyans today is cohesion. I must say that we've pulled apart from the 50 years that we've had independence. And if you looked at the event when we were reenacting the independence, you could see there were emotions in people. People are celebrating every time Jomo Kenyatta talked about people being together. And these are the issues that we are facing today. So for us, we hope that this time travel method and Bridging Ages Kenya henceforth will actually use these reflections, and more so in all the parts of our country, not only in Nairobi, not only in Marsabit, not only in Western Kenya, but let's pull all the counties together and see how they can work with us. As the National Museums of Kenya, some of the things that we are doing and which can actually relate to this travel, time travel method, is we have a campaign where we want to rehabilitate 100 best monuments in Kenya. Madam Mildred has already pointed out that in Kenya we have monuments all over and sites all over, and these sites have a meaning to each and every community. For example, if you take the kayas at the coast, there is a meaning to those kayas within the people at the coast. If you go to the Crying Stone in Western Kenya, there is a meaning to the Crying Stone. If you go to the Maasais, I'm sure they have sites that resonate with some of their cultures and some of their values. So we are saying, let's identify 100 best monuments, rehabilitate these monuments, and then have activities around these monuments that will bring Kenyans together. Because if a monument is in Kisumu, a monument is in Mombasa, it's for the Kenyan people. It's not only for the locals. So this is why we want to use the 100 best monuments to bring Kenyans together and for them to pride and have honor in those monuments. We also engage in workshops and trainings, and these workshops and trainings actually tell a lot about our history and also a lot about our heritage. We are happy now that we are going to partner with most of the universities, and we hope that even primary and secondary schools will come on board so that we can walk this journey together, especially with the youth, and bring people together eventually. Communities are also very important in this venture because this heritage is based within communities. So we have to bring them together so that they can work with us. The other activities that we are undertaking is documentation of all these sites, of all the sites within Kenya that can tell a history of our people and also that can bring our people together. And we also want to digitize most of these sites so that even if you are somewhere else, you can be able, at a click of a button, be able to know what a site tells and how you connect to that site even if you are far away from that site. And finally, it's the collaboration that we are going to bring on board, because not one institution can actually work on its own. You always find that when you are many and together, that's when you bring out the best out of you. So this collaboration with Bridging Ages Kenya as maybe a mother or a father is what will actually, at the end of the day, help us positively and successively tackle some of the issues that we are facing today. So mine today is actually to ask you to take the Bridging Ages Kenya as a positive initiative, to be able to understand our history, to understand our nation, and to understand one another as a people, and not to pull apart and see ourselves as different. We are all Kenyans, and we should be proud of that. And so, thank you very much for gracing the occasion, and I hope you have a good workshop. I think there's a workshop coming up now, and we hope that what you carry away from with you today is going to be spread out to other people within our nation. So thank you very much. It's my pleasure now to invite Madam Wanyoike, to come and share with us a few words, and also to launch Bridging Ages Kenya.
Thank you, Madam Kira. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Today is a historic day. I have been made to walk down memory lane. I have traveled back to 1963, and I don't know how you felt when we were there, traveling back memory lane to where we came from. And I could see emotions when we were standing there, when we were bringing down the Union Jack and raising our flag. In fact, I asked somebody, where is Munyao? I didn't see Munyao. Munyao is the man who actually took our flag to Mount Kenya. And most of these things we forget. We forget where we come from. Very few young people know that there is a man, an old man, he's not there any longer. He died, I think, a few years back, who took our flag to the top of Mount Kenya. A very brave man, a hero, a champion, and it's not, we should not take it for granted that a man from Ukabani somewhere took it upon himself and he went up the mountain and put our flag, our pride, on top of the mountain. I am happy because of Embe brought this into Kenya. I have bought it. I have actually felt it is something that we need to introduce to the communities in this country, to the schools in this country, to the colleges, because we do not know our history. And I can tell you, without looking back and reflecting on where we have come back, how can we now know how to address the issues in the future? The issues that are bedeviling this country today, the issues of cohesion and integration, the hate that we see in this country can only be addressed. But going backwards and getting to know where did we come from, who are we? Because sometimes I look at Kenyans and I wonder, do we really know ourselves? Sometimes we talk about Kenya like that country. Stories that will make them better citizens. Maybe I am what I am today because of those stories. Were there and they had, first-hand information. So let us continue telling the stories. Good stories. Let us work with the museums of Kenya. Let us tell stories. Let us go back history. But today, some of those hopes are almost dead. But I'm sure deep down within every Kenyan, the hopes are. This is the first of its kind in Kenya, and it is a project on enhancing reconciliation, cohesion through heritage, education, and the time travel method. Bridging Ages Kenya is an international organization supporting and inspiring institutions such as museums, schools, and heritage organizations in the development of historic environment education and time travels. Time travels is an educational method where the participants research and take part in the life of another historical period, like the one we have just experienced, to learn about themselves and their society. Therefore, historic environment education and the time travel provides a unique educational method to reflect and understand life and society of today by using historical perspectives, historical sites, and stories from the past. Historical knowledge can be used to assist communities to solve today's challenges like integration, democracy, inequality, and reconciliation. Ladies and gentlemen, as we mark the birth of Bridging Ages Kenya back, I would like to point out that its activities date back 2011, when a project based on mathematics in the historic environment and time travel method was initiated in Kenyatta University. Marsabit County, Maseno University, Law Schools, and National Museums of Kenya, in collaboration with Kamar County Museum and Linnaeus University, both from Sweden, they saw the organization's activities stretched to 3 counties in Kenya. What a creative way of telling a story that is more than 50 years old. The story not only comes to life, but has many storytellers, because each participant is a part of the story to tell. Lastly, I'm impressed by the diversity of the institutions in this partnership. This kind of partnership will no doubt bring out the very best of this chapter. In these few remarks, ladies and gentlemen, I hereby launch Bridging Ages Kenya chapter. May God bless you. May God bless Eben and team, and for coming to Kenya. I don't know how you chose Kenya, but we just want to thank you for this historic event. Thank you and God bless you.
So let's make a hearty clap for Madam Manyeke. Now we will call upon Mr. Ben Ungaho. He will take us through the other session that involves now unveiling the logo and the subsequent activities. So then let's put our hands together and welcome Ben. I'm sure you have seen Ben on TV several times.
Thank you, Simon. Just hang on. Our chief guest, Chair, Deputy Chair, National Cohesion, Director, Sites and Monument, Dr. Kiora, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Bridging Ages is all about time travel. And today I think we have witnessed just that. And symbolically, we are going to travel through the ages. So we are going to unveil the Bridging Ages Kenya chapter logo, which will be carried by the old generation, passed on to the young generation, and to the youngest generation who will unveil it. Thank you so much. And can we have a bit of music? Yeah, Chini. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen, Bridging Ages Kenya, makofi. Bridging Ages Kenya. Photo session. Photo. And immediately after that, there is also a cake to go with that. A cake to go with that. And may I call upon our chief guest to perhaps come and do the honors of cutting that cake. That is the cake, there it is. Wonderful, there it is. And I think this is the birth of Bridging Ages in Kenya. So can we sing happy birthday? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Bridging Ages. Happy birthday to you. Claps. Makofi. Thank you. Now our chief guest will cut the cake and I'm the Duke of Edinburgh. I'm the Duke of Edinburgh. Okay, Makofi.
Around Kenya. We have the president, we have met her from Maseno University, Dr. Mildred Ayere. Yes! And then we have the vice president, Dr. Mary Nasidi. We have the assisting secretary, John Uma. We have a youth representative, Caroline Agala. And we have the following members: Edward Lematu, Dennis Nagala, Dr. Mueni Kio, Simon Peter, Wave, and Mike Mungo. And these then represent, as you see here, they represent the National Museums of Kenya. And this is something that I hope will benefit and Bridging Ages as a whole. And gentlemen, this is a very energetic tour, and they put things in rolling. It took 1 year from the idea, and then you have a national branch. So I have no doubt in my mind that in a couple of years we're over all of Kenya.
Tushangilie Kenya, taifa letu tukufu, Kenya tunayoipenda, Kenya nchi tunayoipenda.
Twajivunia sana tukijiita wa Kenya.